Hello everyone and welcome to the 2020 Ingles SoCon Tip-Off Show. I'm Chris Bainbridge alongside the voice of the SoCon, Pete Yanity, and we're excited to bring you this preview of the upcoming Southern Conference basketball season.
Yeah, over the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you a look inside each of the 12 programs, get to know the players, the coaches, what to watch out for as the preseason progresses, and what has become a powerhouse mid-major conference.
First up, we're starting things off with the champs. The SoCon was one of the only conferences in the country to crown both a regular season and tournament champion, and in both cases, it was the ETSU Bucks. Coach Steve Forbes moved on to Wake Forest earlier this year, and we sat down with new head coach Jason Shea to get a look at this year's team. Well, Coach, first and foremost, congratulations. As we move into this season, there's going to be a reduced number of fans in the stands, or in some instances, perhaps no fans in the stands. Is that going to be helpful or a hindrance or something in between?
I think it'll be helpful. It could be a hindrance as far as you're obviously going to be heard on video and camera, and so in scouting, that's going to change. But communication will be a little bit clearer. You know, as far as our team, we just want to continue to live up to the expectations that have been set forth here, that I've been a part of. But there's been some tradition at East Tennessee State. And, you know, we just want to continue to strive for excellence each day by playing tough, physical, disciplined defense and not beating ourselves. And that's what we're going to try to do and represent East Tennessee State and the Southern Conference in the best way that we know possible.
Well, Coach, good luck at the end of the bench, and we'll see you later on this season. So, Pete, Coach Shea's team has their work cut out for them if they're going to maintain their spot at the top of the conference. So, what do the Bucks have to do to repeat as conference champs?
Well, they've got to acclimate a bunch of newcomers, more than a half a dozen, because they lost some big-time talent. Bo Hodges moved on. He transferred to Butler. Davian Williamson, a really good guard, followed Steve Forbes to Wake Forest. Keep an eye on the following guys. The Northern Kentucky transfer, Silas Adike, he's 6'8". Ladarius Brewer is a guard who transferred in from Southeast Missouri State. He's 6'5". His brother Ty, at 6'9", a forward, came from Southeast Louisiana. He's expected to help. And Damari Monsanto, who's a redshirt freshman as a high schooler just outside of Miami, he averaged nearly 30 points a game. He is special.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Pete. Now, there was another champion crowned in Asheville back in the spring on the women's side, and that honor went to the Samford Bulldogs and first-year head coach Carly Coons. Here's what she had to say about picking up where they left off. So, Coach, last time we saw you, you were cutting down those nets behind you there that I see draped over trophies and basketballs. Well, let's talk about going on the court here this fall, and probably in some ways a return to normalcy, and in some ways taking a stab at this in a way that's never been done before. Let's set that aside and just talk about on the court for a moment. What has you excited about this year's team in terms of their play?
You know, I think even, you know, we had a really competitive team, but this year I've been blown away at the competitive nature of our kids, and from top to bottom have really brought it every single day. And it's been really fun to be at practice and watch that and watch how competitive, you know, now we've got spots that people are fighting for. We lost 3 starters, and so that's helped. But I've been really proud of how competitive and how excited these kids are to just be at practice and get better every day. And so that's been the biggest takeaway for us. And I think we've added some speed. We've added some different weapons from a scoring standpoint, some different type of players than we had last year. So excited to see how that will unfold over the course of the year.
Well, Coach, your desk looks pretty crowded back there, but here's hoping you can make room for some more hardware towards the end of the season. We certainly appreciate you taking the time today, and good luck. Coach Coons was the new kid on the block last season, and as we come into the fall, Samford has another new head coach on the men's side in Bucky McMillan. Pete, what can you tell us about this year's Bulldog squad?
Lucky McMillan was ultra successful as a high school coach right around the corner from the Sanford campus in Mountain Brook. His team's won 5 state titles since 2013. They're going to be up-tempo. It's a team that's going to be really interesting at guard. Preston Parks has transferred in from UT Martin. A few years ago, he was the SoCon Freshman of the Year at the Citadel. Another guy has come back to their program, Tristan Chambers, who early in his career played at Sanford, good outside shooter. Transferred to UA Huntsville, but he has returned, and they've got some other new guards in the fold as well.
All right, thanks, Pete. We welcomed Coach McMillan to the SoCon and heard what his team is looking like for the upcoming season. Coach, welcome to the Southern Conference. It's a heck of a way to get going, but here we are. After all of this, we're going to start to play some basketball games here. What has you the most excited about actually being on the court this fall and going into the winter?
Just playing, you know, in America, sports is normalcy, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that everybody rallies around, and it just makes life feel normal. And so I think everybody wants life to get back to normal, and I think sports is a great reminder of that. So I think the positives are that our players, and I know myself as a coach, you don't take a day for granted. I think that hopefully they'll carry over and we'll remember this time period, because eventually we'll overcome it, and I think that hopefully that's something that we carry with us, is not taking a day for granted, because we see what it's like when you don't have it.
Well, Coach, welcome to the SoCon family. Good luck to you this season, and we'll see you out there on the court.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys covering us. See you soon.
Sanford is restarting some things in Birmingham this season, while in Spartanburg, the Wofford Terriers are now perennial contenders with their scrappy style of play. So, Pete, what can you tell us about the Gold and Black for this season?
Well, I got to replace a great scorer in Nathan Hoover at guard. Chavez Goodwin became a very solid big man last year. He transferred to Southern Cal, and Trevor Stump, who was a glue guy, graduated. They're going to rely as heavily as they ever have on Storm Murphy, now a senior and all SoCon point guard. He's going to have to score some more. They lost a really good swingman in Isaiah Bigelow for the season with a knee injury. And inside, Messiah Jones at 6'6" is going to have to probably play bigger than that.
I think you're right about that. Well, we sat down with Coach Jay Mccauley to get a sense of how his Terrier squad is shaping up. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us here in our new virtual world that we live in. Appreciate you taking the time. And anything changing on the court for you guys this season, or we're going to have a similar style of play that we've grown accustomed to?
Yeah, similar style. We are who we are. We're always going to be really, really tough on both ends and share the ball offensively and be there for each other defensively. And, when you think of Wofford, you just think of those scrappy teams that seem to have a lot of energy on and off the court, the bench included. And that won't change. And, yeah, schematically, everybody changes some things here and there. We'll have some more depth, I think, Chris, at some much-needed positions this year than we had last year. So we'll be able to schematically do some things and maybe expand on that a little bit. It's been exciting for our staff every day to work with our team and teach and mold those guys the right way. And just excited to see those guys hit the floor, and knock on wood, we can get to there here in the next few weeks.
Coach, I sure appreciate you taking the time. Good luck this season, and we'll see you later on down the road.
Thank you, Chris.
Last season, the I-85 rivalry was in full effect, with Wofford and Furman trading blows in the regular season. The Paladins are a popular pick to contend at the top of the SoCon once again. So, Pete, what can you tell us about Coach Ritchie's squad?
Boy, Bob Ritchie, they've been really good, but they've got such a great core of talent. You might call it the core of four coming back. Noah Gurley, Jalen Slauson, and Clay Mounts inside and all over the court, really. Alex Hunter, really good point guard and distributor. They're going to miss the scoring of Jordan Lyons, but this is that team that nobody wants to play, and maybe, just maybe, will break through, get to the NCAA tourney for the first time since 1980.
That's right, and Mike Bothwell came unstrung at the end of the last year as well. So we had a chance to hear from Coach Bob Ritchie himself, and here's what he had to say about this year's Furman team. Well, Coach Ritchie, thanks so much for joining us here today under the new normal of circumstances. What's it going to be like for you and your guys in kind of the Timmons experience with cardboard fans and not that noise that they've become accustomed to?
Yeah, we've talked about this openly with our team. There's just not going to be as much energy in the building that's going to be created externally, and we're going to have to create our own energy every night. You know, I think that for us this year, we're going to have a chance to have some real depth, which I'm excited about. And I thought that was our Achilles heel last year. We had a really, really good team, obviously a record-winning team with Furman. And we did a lot of good things, most SoCon wins in the history of the program. And a lot of things that we were proud of. I think our Achilles heel was our depth. We had foul trouble. It made us really vulnerable in a lot of ways. I think this year we're going to have a chance to have real depth. And that's something that we've really tried to focus on this offseason, is developing that depth. And I think we have the bodies that we're going to be able to play with.
All right. Well, Coach Ritchie, thanks a lot and good luck this season. The Paladins have been near the top for several years now, but still haven't claimed that tournament championship. The same can be said of the Furman women and Coach Jackie Carson's team. We talked to the Furman Hall of Famer to get a sense of what the season looks like for her talented team. Coach, we certainly appreciate you taking the time and joining us here today. Tierra Hodges has garnered a lot of attention coming out of last year and going into this season, and rightfully so. How exciting is it to think of the improvements that she can even make coming into this season?
Such a fan favorite. She's a favorite amongst other coaches in our conference. She's that player you love to watch but hate to play against. Her freshman year, she had some big games. I remember she had a great game against Georgia. And then she tore her ACL. So I don't think a lot of people remember that she tore her ACL in the September of her sophomore year. So she was out for the season. And it's weird. It's one of those things where tragedy kind of leads to triumph. She is back stronger. She understands the game better. She realizes that, it can be taken away from you at any time. And she's really extended her game. So if people loved her last year, they're going to love her this year. She's a three-point shooter. She worked really hard to expand her offensive skills. She can play anywhere on the floor, not point guard. I won't say anywhere on the floor. She doesn't want to play point guard. She has really just led those young kids, and we have great confidence around her, but she's such an outstanding leader, first and foremost, and a great basketball player as well.
Coach Carson, thanks so much for your time today. We certainly appreciate it. Good luck this season, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you guys so much.
Now we stay in South Carolina and close things out for the Palmetto State in Charleston at the Citadel. Pete, what can you tell us about the Bulldogs?
Well, a rough year last year, of course, for Durga Balcom's team. They went 0-18. They lose Kaylin Harris, their top inside player, but Hayden Brown played in just half a dozen games. He's a forward who means a lot to them. Fletcher A.B. emerged as a shooter last year as a freshman. Jackson Gammons was a freshman they were counting on. He was hurt earlier in the season. And one of their newcomers, Dylan Engler, was a 41% three-point shooter in high school in Illinois, and they're counting on him to impact a team that likes to heave the threes.
All right, thanks, Pete. We had a chance to talk to Coach Balcom, and here's what he had to say about this year's Bulldog squad. Coach, first of all, thanks so much for joining us here in less than normal circumstances, but hey, this is our new normal, right? So other than just being together and actually playing the sport that you love, what has you really excited going into this season?
Well, for me personally, this year, last year was kind of a catastrophic year for us. My toughest year in 16 years of being a head coach, for sure. We lost one kid to a career-ending injury and 3 kids to season-ending injuries. Had 2 surgeries in season. We've had 2 surgeries out of season. But my kids were very resilient. I mean, sometimes we went into games with 7 scholarship players last year. So the greatest thing about this year is just having 14 healthy guys. Been a fun group to coach, and they certainly feel like they need to make up for last year and make up for lost time. And our surgeries have been successful, so we're just glad to be together and everybody able to contribute.
Fantastic. Well, I know that the SoCon is not looking forward to your attacking style of play that's going to wear everybody out for 4 quarters, but I know that you're looking forward to getting after it this season and once again being together with your men there at the Citadel. So we thank you for your time, and good luck this season. From one military school to another, we now head north into Virginia in VMI. Pete, what can we expect from the Keydets this season?
They were hoping to have Travis Evie back as a sophomore. He's moved on. He had a great freshman season. They do have a core of players who've now been around for a little while and can contribute. Greg Parham is one of them. They've got a big forward, 6'8", can step outside. Jake Stevens, they hope he can emerge this year. And Camden Kerfman came in as a group of freshman guards last year. He made a big impact.
Right. Well, Coach Dan Earl was kind enough to join us, and here's what he had to say about the upcoming season. Coach, thanks a lot for joining us here today. Tell me a little bit about the team that you have taken the court for you this season and some of the things that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, super excited. Number one, just to be out on the court with our guys, right? It was so, for a while it was one ball, one guy in the gym. Before that you couldn't work out at all. So now we're able to have the whole team out there, and just to see our guys working hard and getting after it. It is at that time of year, as you can imagine, where you feel good about a lot of things, but you haven't played against other teams, and there's no scrimmages allowed. So it'll be interesting when we play against another team for the first time here shortly in like 2 weeks. So with that said, excited about our team. I think we have a good amount of experience back, 2 seniors in Alden Parham, who's a point guard for us, and Miles Lewis, who's kind of a wing slasher, guys that have been on the court and been through the battles of the Southern Conference. Jake Stevens will be instrumental for us. He's a junior returning, provides leadership as well as experience, and he's a skilled guy, can make shots. He's getting better around the block, has really transformed his body. And then we have a good sophomore class of returners as well. Camden Kerfman, Sean Conway, Lewis Tang can all shoot threes. We shoot a decent amount of threes, certainly, but all have had some level of experience or another, and looking for those guys to come back and hit the ground running as well.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot for carving out a little time for us today. Good luck to the Keydets this season, and we'll see you on the court. The folks at VMI are hoping to replicate the formula that's taking place in Cullowhee at Western Carolina, where the Cats are in the midst of one of the more dramatic turnarounds in the nation. Pete, what can you tell us about Coach Prosser's Catamounts?
Really love this team. They went from 7 wins 2 years ago to 19 last year. They do have to replace the rebounding of Carlos Dodson, but they've got one of the really good guards in the country that few people have ever heard of in Mason Faulkner. He was phenomenal last year. A good shooter in the backcourt as well, Matt Halverson. And they returned Cameron Gibson, hopefully at full health. He was hurt in the middle of last year after having a big freshman season. He should really add a lot both outside and inside. And they've got a couple of 1,000-point high school scorers coming in at guard they think can really make an impact as well.
Well, we had a chance to talk with both Coach Prosser and new AD and former Catamount baseball player Alex Gary, one of the youngest athletic directors in all of the NCAA. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us here today. We appreciate you carving out a little bit of time for us. You guys, I can safely say that the turnaround is in full effect.
Yeah, I think, the only satisfaction we take from it as a coaching staff is seeing our kids' enjoyment level. We're very proud of what we accomplished. We're very proud of, our kids and the way that they embraced, our system over 2 years, and look forward to continue to build on that.
That belief is a powerful thing. When you see that light start to go on with them and they see, hey, this is working. If I keep doing it this way, this is the result that we can start to expect to show up for us.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool thing to see, when you start to have players in your program that have been there in a system for several years, and they continue to coach the younger guys or the new guys are starting to coach one another, because no matter where you are, I think everybody would agree when the message is being delivered by a teammate or a classmate or somebody, I think we're fortunate that we have a really good group of kids again, and that teaching from one to another is happening.
All right, Coach Prosser, thanks so much and good luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good seeing you guys again.
What has you most excited as a Catamount fan going into this sports season?
Absolutely. Last year, Western Carolina had the second biggest turnaround as it relates to wins in Division I basketball. And so I think that there's a lot of excitement for our fans. I know that our coaches and our players are extremely excited to get back on the court. We've got a lot of really good players back, a lot of really good student athletes who have just been doing whatever it takes to be able to prepare themselves for this moment, to be able to build on what the success and the turnaround that happened last year. And so I think from a fan perspective, me personally, and certainly our players, just looking forward to getting back out there and building on. The bar has been reset. The goal is not just to win more games than you lose. The goal is always Southern Conference championships. We've got a couple of great senior leaders back with a really good mix of young kids that are going to play a lot of minutes this year. And we really are excited about Coach Pricer and his staff. I've been to a couple of practices. The energy is phenomenal. We're going to look forward to playing this game in a safe way, getting through the season with as many games as possible, and hopefully the Catamounts come out on top.
Well, Alex Gary, welcome home, and good luck to your Catamounts this season.
Thank you, guys. Go Cats.
Next, we travel over the mountains and into Tennessee as we take a look at the Chattanooga Mocs. Pete, how are things shaping up for Coach Paris's squad?
I think he has built the culture there and really added some stability to a program that needed it. He lost two really good players who came in to transfer, Matt Ryan, a scorer, and also Ramon Avila, a center, who left a year early to go play in his native Spain. But David Jean-Baptiste is one of the overlooked guards in this league. Another guy to keep an eye on, Trey Dooms, a West Virginia transfer who came on for them last year. And don't forget the name of Mark Tikohenko, a Sam Houston State transfer at 6'9", a native of Russia. He should really replace the minutes inside of Ramon Avila.
All right, well, you heard what Pete had to say. Here's what Coach Paris had to say about this season's Chattanooga team. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us today. So let's talk a little bit about stuff that's going to happen on the court, because there's been a lot of stuff that's all around on the periphery that's affected this season in a big and real way. But pretty soon we're going to be able to throw a ball in the air and get after it for a few weeks. What has you excited about this team and this season?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think we have a lot of weapons on the offensive end, and that excites me. Offensively, I thought we were pretty good last year. Once we hit our stride offensively, and I think we have a chance to grow and expand on that. I think even this year, just with we have a lot of different teams we can put out there. We can put out some teams with more size. We can put out teams where you have shooting at all 5 positions, and that excites me. It excites me that we have a team that's unselfish. I think it's really important for the guys to get out there and just be able to play and have fun. And so hopefully people will have that in the back of their minds as they're watching as well.
Well, Coach, thanks so much. Good luck this season, and we'll see you on the court.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
The Mocs are going to be in a fight in the middle of a packed SoCon, along with a solid group of strong teams that includes the Mercer Bears. Pete, what can you tell us about the SoCon's only Georgia team?
Well, I was impressed with what Greg Gary did in his first season last year. Took him to a 4th-place finish. Ethan Stair and Georgi Dimitrievich have moved on as leaders on that team, but Jeff Gary, the head coach's nephew, is a big returnee. Tamar Robertson in the backcourt with Gary as well. They've got a freshman from last year who's now a sophomore small forward, James Glisson. He could step up. And Ross Cummings, back from injury, great outside shooter. Neftali Alvarez and Felipe Ace, a couple of transfers, will help them right away as well.
All right, thanks, Pete. Well, here's what Mercer head coach Greg Gary had to say. So let's talk a little X's and O's and Jims and Joes here. What are you most excited about in coming into this season from a basketball perspective?
Besides our depth, I think we've got, some Ross coming back, Cummings, who was all conference before he got hurt last year, only played in 6 games, had a medical red shirt. Being able to have him full go and 100% has been great to watch during the preseason. And then Jeffrey, my nephew, coming back, having a really good conference. It's when he got eligible, was in the 2nd semester. So for him to be able to do what he did was pretty impressive. And then we're adding, 2 guys that sat out last year, and Neftali Alvarez, a point guard that's got great speed, just a bunch of toughness. And then Felipe Ace, who was transferred from South Carolina. Those 2 guys added some high IQ basketball-wise, and they added some toughness. We're very fortunate to be able to play this game and to be coaching it, and it's a heck of a job. And so, yeah, there's going to be some ups and downs this year, but we have to enjoy it, have some fun doing it. Yeah, we want to beat each other. There's no doubt about it. But that's good. I like that. Competition is great.
Well, Coach, I think we're all looking forward to seeing the Bears take that next step this season. So good luck to you, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
As we close out the show with one last interview, we may very well have saved the best for last, and time will tell. The Spartans from UNC Greensboro are one of the favorites to win it all this year. Pete, what can you tell us about Coach Wes Miller's team?
Well, he lost two really key players inside who seemingly were there for a decade, James Dickey and Kyron Galloway, but they returned the best player in the conference, one of the best in the nation that no one's ever heard of, and Isaiah Miller at guard, along with Caleb Hunter. They form maybe the most dynamic backcourt in the SoCon. Hayden Koval is a 7-footer. He's transferred in from Central Arkansas, and he should replace some of that bulk lost inside.
All right, well, we tracked down Coach Miller up in the bunker in the Burrow, and here's what he had to say. Well, Coach, thanks so much for taking the time with us today. We really appreciate it. What has you most excited going into this season? Because you guys got a lot to be excited about.
Well, I think when you have to quarantine and you take basketball away for months, which is what happened in the spring and the summer, I think you're just excited to play basketball again, and so we were just excited to practice when we got to practice, and we had to go through a 2-week quarantine, and we missed the first 2 weeks of college basketball practice. So we're just excited to practice, and I think by the time we get to a game, we're going to be so excited just to play a game. So when I think about how excited I am, I just think about being back on a basketball court and doing what we love to do.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck. And we're excited to see what the Spartans bring to the table this season.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
So, Pete, when you talk to these coaches, you really get a sense of how competitive this conference is going to be from top to bottom. Any final thoughts as we head into the season?
Competitive on the men's side, especially in the sense that there were several coaches disappointed in where they were picked in the preseason polls. I think you've got to look at UNCG, Furman, and ETSU in that upper three, with teams like Chattanooga, Western Carolina being as dangerous as anyone. Mercer, Wofford, and perhaps even Samford could be real factors on any given night. On the women's side, well, people think that Mercer will return after a down year, one in which they still made a deep run in the SoCon tourney. Don't sleep on the Chattanooga Mocs of Katie Burrows. She's a former great player for Chattanooga, longtime assistant, and now head coach there. She might have a very tough team.
All right, thanks, Pete. And we want to thank all of the coaches for taking the time to talk to us and give us an inside look at the teams of the Southern Conference. It's sure to be a wild ride, and we're here throughout the season with you with games on the CW62. For Pete Yanity, I'm Chris Bainbridge. Thanks for watching the Ingles SoCon Tip-Off.